Seventh grade. Today, we're going to be adding and subtracting unlike fractions, where we're not going to have the same common denominator and we need to go and find it. Remember, when adding and subtracting fractions, you must have like denominators. So let's look at our denominators. We have a denominator of 7 and 21. What is the common denominator of 7 and 21? Hopefully you're saying to yourself, it is 21. We are going to set our problems up vertically, which is something different than what you've been used to in the past. So we are going to say 3/7 is equal to something over 21. We are going to say 5/21 is equal to something over 21. So we now ask ourselves, what multiplied by 7 will give us 21? Hopefully you are saying to yourself 3. So now we take 3 times 3 to give us 9/21. And in our second fraction, what times 21 gives us 21? 1. So we say 5 times 1 is 5. So we now say that 3/7 is equivalent to 9/21, and 5/21 is equivalent to 5/21. And of course, we remember that we are going to be adding. So we say 9/21 plus 5/21 is 14/21, which we take notice is not in simplest form. And we say to ourselves, 7 goes into 14 2 times, and 7 goes into 21 3 times, and therefore we have 2/3. So 3/7 plus 5/21 is equivalent and equals 2/3. Our next problem, number 2, we are going to be adding 1/4 and 3/10. Again, the same strategy as last problem. We are going to set our problems up vertically. And we have to ask ourselves, what is the lowest common denominator of 5 and 10? The lowest common denominator of 5, I meant to say the lowest common denominator of 4 and 10. My apologies. The lowest common denominator of 4 and 10, which would happen to be 20. And then we say to ourselves, what times 4 gives us 20? 5. So 1 times 5 gives us 5/20. And what times 10 gives us 20? 2. So now we multiply our numerator of 3 times 2, and we get a 6. We now add them together. We say 5/20 plus 6/20 gives us 11/20. Okay, again, I apologize from the very beginning. I was meant to say the common denominator of 4 and 10 to be 20. Now let's just pretend for a moment that I could not think of the lowest common denominator of 4 and 10. I just could not come up with a 20. I could take the denominator of 4 and multiply it by the denominator of 10 to say that the common denominator of 4 and 10 is 40. And then I would go through the same process. What times 4 gives me 40? 10. 1 times 10 is 10. What times 10 gives me 40? 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And I would add them together. And I would say 10/40 plus 12/40 would be 22/40. But then I would look at that and ask myself if that is in simplest form. And hopefully you're realizing that 22/40 can be simplified because both numbers are even and 2 goes into every even number. So 22 divided by 2 is 11, and 40 divided by 2 is 20. And either way, you get the same answer of 11/20. So even if you cannot find the lowest common denominator and you can find a common denominator with the 4 and the 10 to be 40, you will still get the same answer when you simplify at the end. One more example for your notes. Number 3, we are going to take 9/20 plus 3/16. Looking at this, I'm saying to myself, what is the common denominator of 20 and 16? I'm having a little trouble with that. So I have to go in my mind, or on a piece of paper, which I'm going to show over on the side, my common denominators of 20 and 16. Well, I know that 20 goes 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Now let's see what 16 does. 16, then 16 times 2 is 32. Then 16 times 3 is 48. Then 16 times 4 is 64. 16 times 5 is 80. I now have found my lowest common denominator to be 80. Again, you can do this on what Mrs. First calls side work. You could do it on another piece of paper. Okay, but you have to write it down so that you can see it and you can remember the numbers. So I have determined that the lowest common denominator of 20 and 16 is 80. So now I say to myself, what times 20 gives me 80? 4. 9 times 4 is 36. What times 16 gave me 8? Well, I came over here, 80. I came over here and I did it the 5th time. So I say 3 times 5, which will give me 15. And now I add these together. 6 and 5 is 11, carry the 1, 3, 4, 5. And I get 51 over 80. And I do have to double check to see if there's anything that goes into 51 and 80. And unfortunately, there is not. And therefore, we are simplified at 51/80. I am now going to have you try one by yourself. 7/15 plus 3/25. Your assignment is going to be on Get More Math, and please don't forget your exit ticket. Double check on the Google Calendar for how many points that you need to earn, and please check your Google Classroom for your exit ticket. I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good night.